All right. Well, we're recording. This is awesome. Thank you for being down to come on the podcast, do this interview in person. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Can you introduce yourself for people who may not be familiar?
My name's Richard De La Vega, and I do vocals for More to Pride.
That's awesome. I think back to those early days of hardcore for me, and my group of friends, we all kind of got into hardcore around the same time, and we kind of fell into this hole of only, going to like certain types of shows. But as we, got to know the bands that we were into, some of us wanted to see what else was out there, and we discovered like, more like the traditional, faster stuff. And there was this weird split between me and my friends. Some of them were just like okay with the bands that they discovered up until that point and didn't really care about anything else that was going on or
Right.
anything new that was popping up. And I remember wanting to branch out and see like all these other types of hardcore. And I remember just that era of you guys being around and being a band that I wanted to go check out, and not all of our friends wanted to go. So there was like this weird split. And I always think that's interesting because that's just like one like significant point in hardcore where it's like, damn, I could have never like discovered like a band like More to Pride or a label like Rivalry Records,
Right.
and been like my friends, which is totally fine. Like they still, it's crazy too because I'm like, so many years later they're still listening to those same bands and still haven't even like moved forward, which that's their thing. But for me, it's just like no, like I never wanted to just stay stuck in that hole. Like I've always had this crazy love for hardcore, so I wanted to go and explore and find out what else was going on. It turns out that like the more heavy stuff, like it's good, it's awesome, but it's just not my like favorite type of hardcore. So
Right.
like when I discovered like the faster stuff, like the more you through stuff, like that was the stuff that I fell in love with from like the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I understand it because being from like a background, I was used to the faster stuff, and then there was like and then before that I was like into like Corn and Limp Bizkit and stuff like that, and Green Day was a kind of an influence for me as far as fast fast music and shit. So yeah, I get it. And then there's also the background with the oldies and old school rap from back in the days and all that shit.
And did you always live in this area growing up?
I lived in I grew up in Compton.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Southern California your whole life, pretty
Yeah,
much?
yeah, all my life, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy because I grew up in Southern California too, but it's just like from where you grew up, from where I grew up, it's like two totally different places, but it's not that far apart, which always like it always trips me out because like when I moved from the Palm Springs area to Orange County when I was 21, it felt like I just like moved to a whole different world. It was pretty insane.
Right.
And growing up out here in the Compton area, Linwood, can you talk about how you even came across hardcore?
So when I got to high school, I met my our drummer Eddie, or our original drummer.
Okay.
He was already into like more into the punk music, so he was like into Final Conflict and Litmus Green and all kinds of other shit. And then he was also into hardcore, and he would always listen to like Warzone and Shutdown and One King Down, and by me hanging out with him, he kind of like introduced me to that whole next level of punk and hardcore, and that's how I became involved in all that, and by him, kind of hooking me up with the music, just this I ended up where I'm at today.
And at what point did you guys decide that you wanted to start the band More to Pride?
We've always wanted to be in bands. Like me and our guitar player Jesse, we had our own band, which was called Bases Loaded, and then Eddie had another band. So we were always in band, just not a band together. So his band ended up breaking up, and so did our band. So Jesse played guitar, Eddie played drums, and I played bass. So we were like, hey, let's jam together, since we're like literally like right down the street from each other. So that's how that formed, and it just kind of just started little by little, just started progressing as far as becoming more Pride.
And the demo came out in 2003, correct?
2003.
And how long?
2004.
2004, excuse me. And how long did that whole like writing process take, and for you guys to actually create and record the demo?
You know what? We already had a couple songs from mine and Jesse's band, so we kind of just moved those over into the new band, and it was just it kind of just it was a pretty fast process because we already knew what we wanted to play. Eddie was, was the punk dude. He was pretty punked out, and he was a drummer, so he was already like already into the punk beats and just blasting through the song like pretty fast. And Jesse was into like the youth crewish type of music, so he already had his like way of playing, and then kind of added like a breakdown here and there, and then yeah, it was just it all worked out because everybody was into the same type of music, and it just clicked. Everybody just clicked and just boom.
And if you can remember, what were those early days like for More to Pride? Like, you guys have a lot of support, or did it take a while for people to catch on to what you guys were doing?
It took some time for people to catch on, especially growing up I grew up in Compton, but then I ended up moving to Linwood, and in Linwood it was like ska, like new metal music, and like metal or death metal. No punk. I mean, yeah, there was definitely punk, but there was just no hardcore. And especially if you were straight edge, it was like, they were like against you straight up. So they just wasn't like, nah, never gave us a chance. Never tried to even try to listen to the music. It wasn't just in Linwood. It was all over the place, like Southgate, Linwood, like Compton and shit like that. So it took a while for people to kind of get used to the whole music that we were trying to play. Because my bad. But yeah, because nobody was really playing hardcore music back in the days when we were growing up.
I always find that strange when like there's no local support, when I feel like you should want to get behind like a new band,
right?
Especially trying something new. Just give them support, because who knows what that project could grow into, or maybe that band might not work out. But with that experience and the support, they can move on and maybe network in the local area and continue to be in the scene and create bands, because I feel like that's like what you want, right?
Yeah.
It's to have active members in your scene just constantly doing stuff, because not every band's going to be the biggest band in the world,
right?
But if they're out there constantly doing projects and keeping the scene alive, I feel like that's like really important.
Yeah, it was a weird time. They just didn't accept it for some reason, and they just wanted to just listen to ska and metal and all that, which I had no problem against. I ended up going to those backyard shows and all that, and I had a blast. But
yeah, I have friends, and I've even witnessed bands that aren't even like that I have no relationship with, that will not get any like local support just because it's new. People might not understand it, or maybe they're just haters and they don't want to see it succeed. But when they travel out and then they start to generate hype in other places, then I feel like the local scene will feel that like it's okay to support it, because it's actually something good, and they don't have to take a chance and maybe look stupid if the band doesn't pop off or whatever, which is crazy to me, because I like I said, I feel like if it's in your local scene, you should want to support it, unless you don't like the person, you guys have like legit beef or something.
Yeah.
But if it's just like some young kids coming up in your area, you should try everything in your power to repost a flyer,
right?
Roll out to a show, and tell some friends about it, because it may not be for you, but it might be for somebody else.
Right. When you say that it's like local support, like and then venturing out somewhere else. Once we got started playing shows out of Linwood and Compton and Southgate and all that, we were playing like in Downey and Whittier, which is not too far from each other, but we got way more support from those cities, because they were already into hardcore, but not really into the hardcore that we were playing. They were like into like like metalcore or like just like throwdown and shit like that, which is cool. I like throwdown, but they were into that type of music, and for them to hear what we were playing, they were like kind of blown away by it.
Yeah.
Which was cool. It was like, oh shit, we got way more support here than we did back in our own city.
Yeah, which is like crazy because, like you said, it's not that far apart. But I'm happy that you guys were able to travel out and even not that far and get that kind of support. Because like my earliest memories of you guys, like I remember like you guys being really popular and other bands like Dynasty, Seven Front War,
Right.
Like It or Not. I remember like those being like the bands that were like always like playing like the shows that I wanted to go to. So like it's crazy to me to hear after all these years that like that's where you guys were getting like your like support from in the beginning.
Yeah. It was cool, real cool.
It's very surprising to hear that now too, because you guys repped Linwood so hard, but to not to have that support in the beginning, I'm surprised that and I'm happy that you guys didn't like have any like ill will towards the area you guys came from.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that. we just we were all about our cities, so we were like Linwood all day, every day, That's where we're coming from. That's what we represent. And then also back in the days, everybody was like, there was L.A. Like, if you were a band from L.A., you just said, oh, okay, we're from L.A. And we're like, man. One day we're like, man, fuck that. Everybody says they're from L.A. We're gonna say we're from Linwood, and we're gonna just roll with it. And they're working out because now when you say Linwood, they're like, oh shit, yeah, I fucking. Mortar Pride's from right there or something.
No, just straight up. Like for me, when I hear Linwood or when I'm driving down the freeway and I see the sign for Linwood, Mortar Pride's the first thing that always comes to mind, which is awesome. I feel like you guys did a great job of kind of leaving that mark on people like me.
Right.
And I'm surprised too, because has there been any other hardcore band since you guys that have like came out of Linwood that has repped it that hard, that has had like any kind of success? Like
not that I know of.
Yeah, me, which I'm surprised, because like for as hard as you guys repped it, I felt like you guys had like inspired like some kids from the area. But
well, like our homies from Jackknife, they're from Linwood.
Okay.
Well, yeah, some of the members. I get. Oh my bad. Let me back up. So when they first started the band, the whole band was from Linwood. So that's where they came from, and they have new guys in it, which. They're from all over the place, but they still rep Linwood, like, just like we did. And shout out to Jackknife. They're big time homies of ours.
Okay. And yeah, you guys used to shout out the Linwood crew back in the day, and back then I was so young. I thought it was like an actual crew because with crews and all that. I was like, oh dang, there's a Linwood crew that's wild.
Right. It was just a bunch of our homies, and I don't know how the crew thing started. It was always Linwood, and then like I guess we just rolled up with a bunch of people, and we just like somebody probably said the Linwood crew or some shit like that, and then that's how it just took off from there.
Okay, so the demo's out. You guys are getting support. You guys are playing more shows. How did you link up with Rivalry Records?
We did we went like a West Coast little run with our homies from Make Move.
Okay, shout out Make Move.
Shout out Make Move, and we were playing as we were getting to San Francisco, and then once we got to San Francisco, we played what's that, Gilman?
Okay.
Gilman. We played Gilman. So Kyle was right there, the dude from Rival, and we played our set, and then after the show, he's like, "Hey man, I really dig you guys' sound. You guys have a lot of energy, and you guys, your performance is pretty badass." So and he was like, I want to, would you guys be interested in getting on the label? And we're like, what the fuck? Hell yeah, shit. So that's how that became about. He was at the show, checked us out, and enjoyed our set and put us on.
And at that point for the band, did you guys like have any aspirations to be on a label? Were you guys even thinking about anything like that at that point?
Yeah, we had a homie that had a small label called Straight On Records.
Okay.
We were gonna get on with him, but once Rival came up to the plate, we were like, yeah, we're gonna go with these guys.
For sure. Was he understanding? I'm sure he had to be.
He was a little pissed off, but okay, there was no contest. No contest.
Yeah, I don't blame you guys, because I feel like your sound and that label just like went together like perfectly.
Right. Yeah, he had a lot of good bands on there, like the Physical Challenge and the First Step was like
Dude, the First Step.
Right,
Yeah.
it was like us on First Step, and then the Allegiance, and one of my favorite bands from there was Killing the Dream. They were really dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being on the label with all those bands, and there's more bands that were on that label. It was like, I guess, like just a life's experience, I guess, or whatever. It was a good feeling, that's for sure.
Yeah, and if you look at the history of the label, and I feel like I don't know if they're like way more selective or just not wanting to be as busy, but they'll still pop up and put out bands from time to time, and they still know how to pick bands that have like that rivalry sound, which
Right.
I'm still like impressed with, because like obviously there's labels, when you think of them, you think of a very specific sound, and I feel like they're one of those labels, and I think it's awesome that they're able to still curate that sound like so many years later.
Right, yeah, it was a good label. They're I don't think they're not around no more.
I think I think the like one of the more like recent ones, they put out that band Change. I think they did I think it was like a collab. They like
Rival? No, I don't think they're not releasing anything no more.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
Change is on. I think they're on Indecision.
Yeah, now, yeah, yeah. That's like a newer thing. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't. Maybe. What was that band before Change? Betrayed.
Oh yeah, Shout Out Betrayed. Yeah, they're on Rivalry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe it was that bad. I don't think it was Change though.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But for the record, so you link up with the Rivalry Records. Can you talk about what you guys' feelings were like, if you can remember, because it's so long ago, but wanting or linking up with them and then having to create the LP?
So linking up with them, it was cool. Kyle was a real cool guy. He helped us out a lot. He put out a record, and then he helped us get a tour van, and he kind of shot us some money for that, and he was just like real supportive all the way, and yeah, he was a real cool guy. I'm still in contact with him, so I hit him up every once in a while just to say what's up.
That's awesome.
And then as far as a full length, we already had like all of our demo songs that we had. We just moved them over. Oh shit! I didn't have to. We moved them over to our 7-inch, and then we made like 2, maybe 3 more songs. So it was kind of like an easy process for it, because the songs were already locked in, and then we just added 3 more, and we didn't have to be like struggling about trying to make more music than what we already had.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys, I read you guys recorded at Castle Ultimate
Yeah.
North. Which are they still around? Because I remember like that was like the spot. Like even like talking to my friends who were like just like starting their first bands, like their goal was to like go up there and record. And like back then, I didn't understand. Like I didn't even know there was like destinations for like recording studios that people wanted to go and record. And I thought you just go like to the closest one and figure it out.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. But I think I've heard that they're still open.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about it though.
And how did you guys end up going all the way up north to record the record and not anywhere down south?
Well, Kyle's the one who set that up, so.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Yeah, so he was like, "Hey, we got this spot. You guys come up. You guys." It was like a 3-day session. So he let us stay at his pad while we did the whole recording, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Real cool. It was a good experience, and it was just a blast being like, we took some of our homies up there too, so it was just cool being able to hang out up there and explore, and then we had homies that stayed up there too, so we would kind of go hang out with them right after and fuck around over there.
And had you ever been up there before, like before the recording?
No, to be honest with you, before I got into the band, the only place I've been to was Mexico.
Okay, for sure.
Never been out of California other than that. So being in Mortar Pride took me to places I've never thought, or even think of visiting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hardcore's in that for me too, man. Like the places that I travel, like all like the different places that I go to in Pennsylvania, it's all because of hardcore. When I go to Florida, it's because of hardcore. So I'm in the same boat. Like before getting into hardcore, like I never traveled anywhere.
Yeah. yeah. It was real cool.
Okay. And for that first record, can you talk about your favorite song off of it?
Favorite song? It has to be the You're Whack.
Okay.
It says, yeah, you fucked up now, bitch. You fucking right. I don't know. I just like the singing through the song, and then also the way it came out. It's just like a pretty meaningful song, and the way the song sounds, it's just hard. It just goes kind of hard all the way through, and it's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, one thing that I really like is like, we're about almost like 18 years later from that record coming out, and I honestly feel like it still holds up because like there's a ton of hardcore from that year, that era that I used to listen to because I thought it was like the best thing, but obviously being involved for like so many years and kind of like refining my taste and just understanding like what hardcore music actually is. When I listen to that record, I'm just like, yes, this is amazing that this shit is still so good. So many years later, because you think 18 years, that's a long time. So many records have been put out. So many bands have come and gone. There's been so many different eras of hardcore. But like when I listen to that record, I'm just like, yes, this shit is still really good 18 years later.
Yeah. That's I once in a while I pop it in and I'm like, man, this shit sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, no, you guys did a really good job. Like when you're like putting these things out, right? Because you guys put out like the demo on cassette,
right?
And did you like ever try to like preserve that history? Do you like, all right, like I put this out, like I want to at least have like one piece of it going forward, just for your own collection? Putting it out again, probably something like that. Or no, just like do you have like a copy of like the cassette tape?
Oh, you know what, man, I don't.
Okay.
I wish I did. I was like, not back then. I was just like, oh yeah, put it to the side. I'll get it later. Now I wish I would have saved everything that I've that we put out back in the days, because it's just memorable shit that I just know that I'm not gonna get back anymore.
Yeah, because I think back about like test presses and stuff. Because like those are like for members of the band, really close homies, whatever.
I do have my test press.
Oh, okay. So
that's why I got my test press.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Everything else, like old shirts, are a design from all the designs that we had. I don't have none of that nowhere. I was like, okay. And I look back on some of the shirts that we had. I'm like, man, that was a sick ass shirt.
Yeah, I have a buddy. His name's Dylan. He runs Takedown Records. And he used to sing for this band called Shackled, and we did a collab shirt, a couple of years ago at FYA in Florida, and he hit me up. He was like, "Hey, like, can I have one of the shirts? Because I, collect everything that Shackled's ever put out, just so when it's all said and done, I can like look back and see everything." And I was like, "Oh, that's actually really smart to want to collect everything." Because like I've done collab shirts where like we sold out, or I gave it to the band and like, here, this is like your responsibility now.
Right.
Like I'm done. And there's like things that I wish I would have kept, and this was only like a couple of years ago. So I'm like, damn, I should have been more like forward thinking like Dylan and like saved some shit, because there's like cool designs that like like I put money into,
right,
and that came out really awesome that kids are stoked on, but I just
Right. You know this. You know it's funny. I had a lot of hardcore shirts like No Warning, like old, like from So when they first came out, I had one of their first shirts, and then there was like Warzone, a lot of locking out shirts, and I'm like, I had them stashed and I had them put away. My mom, she cleaned out the area that had everything put away, and she fucking threw all that shit out.
Oh
Like,
no.
oh man. She was like, "Well, I didn't know it was been this for so long. I didn't know you wanted it." I was like, "Man," and I guess something about righteous, like a righteous. I posted a picture with the Righteous Jam shirt on, and they're like, "Man, that Righteous Jam shirt is going for like so much money." And I was like, "Oh shit, it's a trip. Like how much, keeping a shirt from way back in the days is still meaningful to this day."
Yeah,
And it's just a shirt, right? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, because you think like for anybody who knows how a t-shirt gets made, like
Yeah.
it's not that crazy and it's really cheap to make a shirt. But I remember when I can't remember what year it was, but I remember Rival Mob played Sound and Fury, and but before that fest, like people were like flipping their merch online because like they were so like popular at the time. So
Right.
like at that Sound and Fury, they were limiting like one shirt per customer, so their line was just so fucking long, and I was just
Oh
like,
shit.
yeah, and like the shirt was like I think it was like a gray shirt with like a jaguar on it that said like the Rival Mob, and like I was like, damn it, like I really want a shirt, but like I can't, miss this band. Do you need to take that?
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We can just hit pause and
Okay. Yo, what's up, man? Hello? Oh shit. My bad, man.
no, you're all good, you're all good.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hi. What's the code?
7328.
Okay, we will be in the restroom and then we'll be over here on the side waiting for you.
All right.
What is it again?
7328.
Thank you.
All right, bye. All right.
For sure. But yeah, just talking about the Rival Mob, like the lines were just so long, and it was like, and at that time I was like, okay, like I'll just take my chance. I'm gonna go see the band that I want to see, and hopefully the shirt's available
Right.
afterwards. But it was so crazy that it sold out. So by the time I got back, I wasn't able to get one.
And just even thinking about standing in that line is like, no, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I like merch. Obviously, like I'm always wearing like some sort of like hardcore piece
Right.
of merch. But yeah, I have to draw the line. Like I'm not gonna wait, like hours just to get a T-shirt. It's just
Right. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous to be honest with you. But it helps the band out, and you gotta love the band that much to
Yeah.
say fuck it. I'm gonna stand in this line and get that shit.
yeah. But that's crazy that your mom just threw away everything that was just stashed away.
It was really like fuck. It was like heartbreaking. I was like fuck.
Yeah. Luckily, like my mom's like a hoarder, so like
Wow.
so I have I still have like a bunch of like clothes at my parents' house, but I have like this like bin where I'm like, hey, these are all my like rare shirts in my eyes, shirts that like I don't even want to wear anymore because I like them so much. So like whatever. In my mind, I picture like 20 years down the road when I bust it out, people will be like freaking out, but
Right.
it's not that serious. But it's stuff that like like I'm a huge fan of the band Fury. They're from Orange County, so I
Yeah,
just
I
have like a bunch of like Fury shirts that I think are really cool that I just want to save. Especially now these days because they're not like super active, even though they're about to put out like a new record. They're playing Sound and Fury, but like outside of that, they're doing like international stuff, but they just don't really play locally a whole lot.
Right, yeah, yeah. They were. I know they were. I haven't heard too much about them being on shows, but like a couple years ago, before the pandemic, they were like playing a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I am curious because obviously there was a point where you guys decided to hang it up.
Yeah.
And I was always surprised just because every time I saw you guys, like the reactions were always great. Anytime I heard anybody talking about you guys, it was always like just positive stuff. So I am just curious, like so many years later, like why did you guys decide to hang it up?
We just I guess we had to start working, and that became more of a priority, and then kind of with it's just like band bullshit too, and that kind of had a part in it. But it was just mostly we started getting older, and our parents were like, you got to get a fucking job, you got to start working, and that kind of took over of more of our focus than rather than being a band. And then our bass player Raymond, he ended up moving up north to go to college up there.
Okay.
And then Jesse, our guitar player, he ended up moving up to San Francisco with his chick. So that kind of also just
made it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
You know what I heard, and I don't know how truthful this is, but back in the day, like I used to ask around, like, hey, like, what happened to More to Pride? And like the one thing that I always heard was that like the band, you guys all turned to like raver kids and just disappeared. Is there any truth to that?
You know what? That's not why it happened. But once I I had not been going to the shows for a while, so I ended up I started hitting up raves and shit
okay.
like that.
Okay.
Party day. Yeah. So yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, because my mind was like blown because like I'm familiar with EDM.
Right.
I listen to like a very little of it. Like I'm not like super into it. But when I heard that, I'm like, there's no way that like that band turned into a bunch of raver kids.
No, not the band. Just mostly mostly me. Yeah. My bad, bro.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Do your thing.
Yeah, what's up, man?
What is it?
7328.
7328?
Yes.
Baby.
I'm gonna go open it.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna go open
We
it.
already got it. Thank you. We already got it.
My wife, man.
It's all good.
Yeah, it wasn't really the whole band. It was just me. I ended up meeting up with some homies from Linwood, and he's this older dude, and he was like from the old school, like 90s when the rave was starting to kind of become a big thing. So he was like old school dude that used to go to raves, but if you were seeing him, he's like this. He looks like this mean ass gangster fool, but he's just the funniest motherfucker you could have ever met. So I ended up hanging out with him. He's like, "Hey, let's roll up." And at first I was like, "Nah, it's not really my thing, And then he's like, "Come on, man, we'll fucking get in there and fucking have a good time." I was like, "All right, then." Next thing you know, we fucking went up there, and then it was just a cool thing because it was just a different environment, something it's way different than the hardcore scene. Because when I was in the hardcore scene, I was like strictly hardcore only. I didn't really listen to a lot of other music. So when he brought me to the party, he what's
Okay, play your game over there.
okay, I'll see you over there. Okay. So he brought me to the party, and then I was like, this is actually pretty cool. I had a lot of fun, and it was a good experience. That's how I met my wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how long did you like dabble in that?
I did that for like a good 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a pretty hard party, that's for sure.
Yeah, the few that I've been to, because I have a buddy from Hawaii. He comes down, and we're like really into K-pop, right? So like we'll go to like K-pop concerts, but he always will try to like squeeze in a rave in between. He'd be like, "Hey, like there's this club like down the street in Orange County, like you want to go?" And I'm like, I've never heard of this shit, so I was like I'm down just because like you traveled in from Hawaii, like I'm off. It's not that big of a deal. Like I'll go. Try something new, right?
Make the best of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing that I'm always surprised about is that when we're in those like rave environments, is that everyone's so nice.
Right.
Like I don't know what it is. It almost feels fake because it just seems like they're just like overly nice.
Right.
And I'm like, this is so strange, but I like it. Like I hope it's real. But yeah, I never had anybody, like look at me like crazy or try to start shit.
Right,
Everybody's just
right,
been
right.
like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you want something to drink? What kind of drugs do you want to do tonight?" And I'm just like, "Oh, none tonight."
Yeah.
But thank you. And but like yeah, like everybody's just so friendly. It's
Right,
crazy.
right.
Like out of any show that I've ever been to, no, like just like that like group of people, like it's just crazy to me, but cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's I guess everybody's on the happy pills, so everybody's like, trying to spread the good vibes and shit. Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool environment to be in.
And the homie that invited you to that stuff, is he still around? You guys still cool?
Oh yeah. He still stays out in Linwood, and he's just more laid back now. He's the homie Peanut. Shout out to my homie Peanut, Linwood.
And in those years that More Pride was gone, were you ever curious about staying involved in hardcore or just being around?
Yeah, you know what? I was still listening to hardcore music. I was going to shows, not as much as I did before, but I would go to probably I guess when like Chromax would play out. Was it Chromax? I don't know. I remember I would go see a bunch of bands that I still was like really into. So when they would play, I'd go check them out, and I wasn't really there for the whole process of new bands coming in, because I didn't pay attention to the new music that was coming out, but still having love for hardcore and all that, yeah, it was always in me still. And then we did try to make the band work, but everybody was just kind of on their own fucking way of living, so it just never really came about.
Yeah, so I feel like it can be hard when you lose that momentum, right? Because especially you guys being so well known, and putting that record to step away, but then to try to come back, to do it again, it can be hard.
Yeah. I guess we did have support, but it was just within the band that either it wasn't working out. Yeah. When we tried to get it back going.
Yeah, and I feel like that's hard if those personal relationships aren't there. It's hard to do something like a band.
Yeah.
Because I've known people in tons of different bands, and to know sometimes when it's just they'll hate each other, but the band's so well established, they'll put it aside for that 30, 45 minutes just to do the band. But then I feel like at a certain point that starts to bleed through, and it just never really works out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that happening.
Okay, and so the band goes away, for pretty significant amount of time, right? 8 or 9 years.
2007 was probably our one of our last shows. Yeah.
And did you guys know it was going to be your last show, or was it one of those things that popped up?
Yeah, we kind of. It just wasn't it just wasn't really happening, because we already had Broken Edge, so we're kind of more, we're partying a lot more, and getting a little wasted, and that kind of got our focus more than trying to be in a band. Yeah. But then with the whole having to work and everybody going their own way, we just knew that we couldn't continue it like we wanted to.
Yeah, and I can respect that too, because there's bands who I don't know if they don't realize that they should probably hang it up and it's their time to go.
Right.
So they're trying to make it work, which I can also respect too. But it's just it kind of tarnishes the band's legacy, and then it's just they start putting out music that's not up to the standard that they once were.
Right.
And I feel like that's worse, and sometimes it's better off just to call it quits and leave on a good note, and have everybody remember you guys for the good portion of the career, versus if you stick around for too long, you start putting out crap and people start to disrespect, and you guys turn into a joke.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny that you say that, because Jesse, he's always said something like that. He's like, nah, after we broke up, we try to do it like a couple years later, and he's like, no, I don't want to do that. You know, we established ourselves, and we still have a good name behind the band, and I don't want to just go and not be so serious about the band and kind of just drag the name through the mud and just ruin what we already have ourselves established as. And you just reminded me of what he said. So yeah.
And do you remember where you're at when you guys got asked to play that Sound and Fury? Because I feel like that is like something really cool. 2017, you guys are on Sound and Fury, and for a band like Mortar Pride to get asked to play that, I thought that was really awesome. Because even like when you look back at like the older Sound and Fury lineups, right? Like 2006 to like 2009, I feel like that's like where you guys belong.
Right.
So to see you guys to just come back and that be like like you're kind of like kick off to you guys like doing things again. I felt like that was like really awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah. We just to kind of throw out there, we played For the Children in 2014. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay, yeah.
That was one of our first times playing together as a band since 2007. And then that was we just played that show, and then from 2014 to 2017. I think Martin hit us up, and he was like, "Hey, we want you guys to play." And then I shot the idea to Jesse, and he was like, "Man, that's a really good show, but I don't know, man. People are not really gonna be into us." Like, he was having doubts because it was such a big event, and he knew what Sound and Fury brought to the table, and he didn't want us to kind of like bomb and just not have a good response or shit like that. But we ended up playing, and it ended up working out pretty good. But as far as like thinking about being a band after that, no, it was just like we just played that show, and we just kind of like just kept it how we always had, just like keep it neutral, and then if another show will pop up, we'll play it, but it was never really any talks about trying to get the band together and getting it going all over again.
Really? What was it like the following year when you guys got asked to play that Nature's World night out?
Same thing. It was like you guys want to play? He was like, yeah, we'll play, because he saw that Sound and Fury, we did good at Sound and Fury, so he was like, fuck it, let's do it. And then, but still, it was like, nah, we're like nothing as far as being a band was in the talks or nothing like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
because
I always wanted to. But I get Jesse's point. He always he's like he doesn't want to tarnish the name, and
and to devote time again, right? Because
right,
obviously,
right.
I'm sure at that point you guys are all at different places in your life.
Oh yeah.
So to have to carve out time to do a band, that it takes some work.
Right. I mean, everybody already had past their prime of partying and getting wild and out and shit. So everybody was kind of more like calm and calm and we could have probably done it, but it was just still the we're just gonna leave it where we're at.
And after Nature's World night out, at what point did you guys have that conversation? Like, hey, let's try to do this again.
It was I guess we had played the For the Children, and I think it was like not this one, but the year before. I forget, it was like 2021 or something like that. I can't remember. It was at the Echo. No, not the Echoplex or whatever.
Okay.
So we played that show, and then that was a really cool show. And then we played the show in November at the midnight hour with the Wise and Major Pain. And then that's when we already had talks like, man, we keep on getting hit up to play shows, but we're kind of tired of playing our old songs, like Jesse was like, and the band like Seth and Raymond were like, if the Midnight Hour gets a good response for us, and everything works out, and and all that, I'm down. Let's talk about trying to make some new music and just kind of get it going again. Because it was just like, if we get hit up to play another show, like we just didn't want to play our old songs no more.
Yeah.
Kind of like, want to. Well, maybe people like our old songs, but we were already like, kind of like over it a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you've been playing those songs
Yeah.
since like early 2000s.
Right,
so.
right. Yeah, but yeah, that's how like it came about. Once that show happened at the Midnight Hour, we were like, fuck it, let's do it. Fucking came in, wrote these two songs. Well, we wrote our first song, Manipulator. That's a new song. Destination Unknown. That's a song from 2005, 2006. That was an old song, and we just brought it back because we just loved it so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And was there any pressure you guys felt? Because I feel like to kind of put it all on this one show, and if it does well or not, because the people attending the show, they don't know this. Like
Right.
This is gonna kind of determine the fate of Mortar Pride going forward. I think that's crazy.
Right. Yeah, it was so much pressure because we weren't even a band, like a full permanent band. So it wasn't so much pressure. It was just like, let's roll with it and see how it goes. And if it goes good, then fuck it, we'll do it. If it's not, then that's it. It's not like we were a serious band to begin with.
Yeah, like I was happy with seeing you guys just popping up every now and then. Just because for me, like I said, like I was such a fan back then when you guys were like super active. So to fast forward to now, where there is like this whole new generation of kids who may have never seen Mortar Pride, who may have heard your record and probably never thought that they would get the chance to see you guys live. So for you guys to come back and do stuff, I think it's really awesome, and I think it's cool too, because like I said, like that record still holds up to this day. The two songs that you guys just put out with War Records, I think are awesome.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay, and can you talk about your relationship with War Records? How you guys landed there? Like, because you said you still keep in contact with the guy from Rivalry Records. Was there ever any talk of maybe going through them? Or
No, they're not even a label no more. So they hung it up. So we already know that was like a no-go. And then with War Records, we already knew Andrew from Strife.
Yeah.
So he was I had another band going on. It was called Evil Ways. And we played a show with Berthold City, and that's how we ended up linking up with Andrew, and through Berthold City, because John from Allegiance, the singer, he plays bass or guitar. I think he plays bass. So through John, we were able to link up with Andrew because Andrew's a singer and all that. Yeah. And then after that, it just kind of. Every time we saw each other, we're like, "Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?" Kind of just chopped it up, and he was always a cool dude. Like like every time you said what's up to him, he would like kind of hang out with you and all that, which was cool because, fuck, man, Strife, definitely big inspiration. So for me to even be able to have a chance to even be next to Andrew and shit, I was like, fuck, kind of starstruck. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And recently, you guys announced that you're actually playing a show with Strife.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Right. I know. That is really cool. Like all the homies from them, when like all the old school homies, they tripped out like, what the fuck? No way, man! You're gonna fucking play with Strife and all this shit.
And it's at a really cool venue too. I don't know if you've had a chance to go there yet.
The Locker Room. I'm not sure which one is. I know it's right next to the Garden app or something like that.
Yeah. It's like this real, like intimate. It probably holds like maybe like 150, 200 people.
It's like right next to it, right? It's like a small room.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like when the Garden has like big bands and they have the smaller bands playing that other room. Oh, okay, I've been there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and, for me, it's like one of my favorite venues for a hardcore show. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, to see that show get announced, I was actually pretty stoked because I feel like with them too, like I'm not sure like what it is, but it seems like they'll like have a bunch of cool stuff there, and then there'll be like a pause, and nothing will happen there, but then
Right.
then it'll just like boot right back up.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah, so it's cool to see that show there too, and. My friends playing a pop punk band. I'm pretty sure they're opening that show called Stateside.
Oh yeah. Oh, all right. Cool. Oh, cool, man. Yeah. Are you gonna be rolling up?
Yes,
Hell yeah.
yeah. Because last time we talked, I couldn't make it out to your other show, at that bar.
Yeah. The Bricks Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, but then I looked at my calendar and I was like, I have something scheduled, which is rare because like normally nobody wants to do a podcast at night, and no, I don't either because I want to be doing other stuff, you know. But it just so happens, yeah, like that one in the books was like right at 6 p.m. and I was just like,
Right.
I try to be as professional as I can be, like be on time and
Right.
not just cancel on people.
Right. No.
Because I hate when people cancel on me. That's like the most annoying thing in the world.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I gotta, be respectful because they had their time booked. But
Right.
I was really bummed because just like I said, I'm a huge fan of Mortar Pride.
Yeah. It was, it's. I'm looking forward to that show because and then after that we're gonna play in San Diego.
Oh, where is that announced?
So it's the 18th in the Long Road, San Diego, the 19th, and that's gonna be like by Chicano Park.
Okay.
It's like there's like a little bar right there. But a bunch of bands are playing. Stripes playing again. Berthold City, Torrena.
Oh, dude, that band is amazing.
Yeah, they're badass. The Desmadre, shout out to Desmadre, the homies. Count Time, my homies from Count Time.
Good old Count Time.
Yeah, Count Time they're playing. So it's a bunch of bands, like a bunch of like IE bands, like 97 Minutes and
Okay, they're popping off right now.
yeah, there's so many. It's just a big lineup. Oh, there's some band called not some band. There's a band called Violencia.
Okay,
Yeah, they're playing. It's gonna be a good show. Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's big lineup. Bunch of Dead Heat's playing.
Shout out Dead
Yeah,
Heat.
I'm like shit. We gotta definitely get on this show right here. So we're happy to be on that show.
And with these two shows coming up, like and with the two new songs being out, like how are you guys feeling? Is like are you guys gonna want to kind of stay this course of just playing a couple shows here and there, or are you guys trying to get more busier?
Yeah, we definitely been wanting to get a lot busier. Kind of get the ball rolling and have people that never saw us or heard our music kind of check us out and all that. So we are planning on playing more shows than what we recently have been playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the two new songs out, which like I mentioned earlier, I think are awesome. Do you guys have plans to do an EP after that? Or
Yeah, we're writing.
Oh, okay.
We're
awesome.
writing right now, so going back to the question from earlier, is that how is the process? It's the process of writing this time around is like, man, it's a lot more difficult to try to bang out some songs because I guess we're more like I guess we try to be more aware of what we're gonna put out and all that because we want it to be not just some shit that we just come up and have it out there.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like so many years later, like where do you find inspiration for lyrics for these new songs?
You know what? Like I'm my music category is like all over the place. So I find myself trying to I make up my own lyrics, but I get inspiration off of like I'll put like an oldie song like the Manipulator song. I kind of got inspiration off of the OJ's Backstabbers.
Okay.
And it's like backstabbers, scumbags, and then like there's like OJ's are like they have backstabbers in their lyrics, so I kind of went off of that and that's what helped me kind of just make my fucking make the way I write my lyrics for that song. But I always check out like different music. I trying to kind of just see where I could kind of like pick up something off of that that I can relate to, and kind of use that to kind of have me brainstorming on what I want to write. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot different than how we wrote back how the lyric process worked back in the day for me. Yeah, because I guess, you know, back in the days it was always like, it's kind of easy because you always like, you know, you would talk about friends betraying you or still being positive and and all that shit. So it's a whole lot different now.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, obviously with like life experiences, obviously you're older now versus back then. So I'm sure you look at things, you know, from like a different set of eyes versus back then, which is cool because I think it's awesome to be able to have a record and you'll be able to like, you know, read things that you wrote at a very specific age and very specific moment in your life, and you know, here you are, you know, almost like 18, 19 years later, and to be doing the same thing, but you know, now we get to see, you know, your growth.
Right, yeah. It's definitely something that I have to put a lot of thought into, because like I don't want to put out just some like, we're from the hood, you know, it's good, something like some cheesy shit. I want it to actually mean something, because, you know, I want to have people out there to hear the lyrics and be like, oh, all right, he's making sense, rather than just saying some dumbass shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can respect that, because like, you know, I feel like I am like more attached and feel like way more into bands when like I read their lyrics and I feel like, okay, there's like some sort of like personal story behind this, or I can relate. But like, you know, like obviously there's like, you know, stuff that like I listen to, I'm like, cool, like it doesn't make any sense to me, but it just sounds cool. That's fine too. But like I said, like when I listen to bands like, you know, the First Step, Mindset, bands with just like real powerful, just like meaningful lyrics, I'm just like, okay, that's the shit that gets me like excited.
Yeah, lyrics mean a lot. I mean, especially if you're a person listening to the track, and then you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh shit, this motherfucker's really meaning what the fuck what he's spitting out there. So that's what I try to go off of when I write lyrics, because I want it to have meaning, and I want somebody to listen to it and be like, all right, I feel this fool. He's really saying some shit that probably the person is going through, or some shit like that, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to more new music, because you know, like I said, the self-titled, the 2 new songs, I think, you know, it's a good indicator that you guys still have it, and has me excited and anticipating more new music from you guys.
Right. Yeah. We're looking forward to that too, and looking forward to having more music out there for people to check out, especially some new shit, because I know we've been playing our old record for so long that even we're kind of like, we want to,
for sure, makes sense,
get some new shit out there.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Right on, man.
This has been awesome. This is the first of many. You know, we're at right here. I don't want to give the exact location, but we're here in Southern California doing cool shit. Before it goes, or anything else you would like to say?
I just want to say thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on here, and shout out to Linwood, all the homies. There's too many of you motherfuckers to shout out, so you know who I'm talking about.
All right. Thank you guys. Be back soon.
Peace.
All right. Cool.
Hell yeah, man.